Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that. Hello. We are starting already. What the hell? My bad. Welcome, folks, back to Two Transit Misfits. I'm your host, Out Ur Boi Blunt, and as you can see, I am going solo tonight. P has a family emergency that he has to tend to, so if you can, please put in your prayer hearts in the chat to let him know that we're all thinking about him. But we still have to go on, and so I have a guest with me who's going to we're going to talk about some stuff that's been going on in transit. And so she's been on our show twice already with a lot of information. So we're going to keep that moving. So without further ado, we're going to bring in Miss Wonder Woman. Oh, man, see, if I was smart, hold on, before we even bring her up like that, let's do this. Hold on. We're going to bring in the one and the only. Got to put the volume up. Not you. Just 1 second. Oh, no. There we go. The one. Sorry. The one and only. There she is. Miss Marianne.
That is classic.
If I would have thought about it earlier, I would have put it in the soundboard.
That's hysterical.
How you doing, Miss Marianne?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us again. Listen, for the last two shows were very, very informative. I really enjoyed doing that. And that's like what the heart of this show is about, just giving out information. Now, what the people do with that is on them, but yeah, we try to make sure they get the right information and to be informed about exactly what's going on. So what you got for us today, Miss Marianne?
What have I got for you? Nothing. We're just waiting for court.
we wait for Lloyd. We got Lloyd. We have Ann Hackett.
Lloyd and Ann and John. Yeah.
Right. Ann
they should be coming in. I gave them the link.
Yeah, they're in the green room. But just camera's not on just yet. So I'm just gonna wait for them to bring their camera on, and then we can bring them right in and get the crux of the show started. Because we definitely gonna have to talk about some stuff with transit too. You know.
So what are we talking about today?
That is a good question. I was in the dark about exactly what Ann was going to bring to us, but you know, I guess it's important, so we got to bring it up. Should I bring her in? I mean, her camera's not on.
I'll tell her.
But we're definitely going to talk about. We're going to touch up on what's happening. Oh, there she went. She left. So while we're waiting on Ann, let's talk about the situation with transit. Last week or the week before, we had sent the prayers about a train conductor that got assaulted. Now, assaults are nothing new in transit. It's been going on since, I guess, this is session. What? Oh.
Well, you've got some pretty aggressive people in the subway.
Yeah. I mean,
people are getting assaulted all the time.
And what people don't understand is that the assaults that's reported don't really match to what's actually happening out there. It's like maybe 70% accurate, So you got like 30% that's not being reported at all. So the numbers really don't reflect exactly what real life is happening. And what people don't understand is that it's not easy to go into work. First of all, nobody goes into work thinking they're going to get assaulted.
No.
But then with this job, you have that possibility. And so you have to keep it in the back of your mind and be prepared whatever subtle way you can. I mean, transit for us bus operators, transit don't want us to leave the chair. We leave the chair, we get into trouble, which I kind of feel like is a trap. And okay, so Ann's almost ready. And as
Well, let
soon
me
as
ask
you're
you a
ready,
question. When do you have a bill? Is there a law that's been passed that if someone assaults a transit worker, that it's a felony?
yes, but the time that they giving for um incarceration, if it gets to that point, because the majority of times they plead out, it doesn't even get to a trial or anything like that, so they get like probation. I mean, Kathy Hochul just put out a 5-point plan, which we're going to touch on later on. But the amount of time was like 5 to 10 years or something like that if you get convicted of assaulting an employee. But here's the thing: New York City taxi drivers, they get a minimum of 25 years. It's like how do they get more time for assaulting them than we do? Okay, I think Ann is ready. Ready, Ann? Good?
It might be the kind of felony that it is. What level felony is it to assault a transit worker versus assault a taxi cab driver?
But it's like they don't, I don't know. It's like we only get 5 years and they get 25 years. Not that they're any less important than us, but we're not any less important than them neither. And so a lot of people feel like that's a jip, you know. We're gonna bring Ann in now, Ann Hackett. Hey
Hi
Ann,
there. How are you?
how
Sorry,
are you
we
doing?
had a little technical delay there.
Yeah, that was going around all day today. I had a lot of technical issues going on myself. So what brings you back to the table, Miss Ann?
Well, I just wanted to keep the message going and making sure people are getting on board with this and understand the facts. We've done 2 shows already. Marianne has done a great job with all the videos, and we just need to keep this going. So, first of all, I want to start with thank you for having us on, allowing us to do this. And secondly, thank a message from Lloyd and Anita and Julio today for the meet and greet. Anybody who went to the meet and greet today, did affidavits, donations, thank you. We need them. It is
Nice.
really, really important. We have to get this message out. We're up past 800 people on our Facebook page. We are at 801. We're getting there. We need to get more, and we need to work harder at this. So the other thing that I think is important to understand, Anita did put a post out that the hearing has been delayed. It's primarily because the MTA needs more time to respond, which means they're gathering their, battleground, and they're gathering their information to continue the battle. And we don't have another date yet, but the TW100R group will certainly be giving that information. So
Oh, okay. So you said you had the meet and greet today.
they had a
What
meet
what
and greet today. I wasn't there, but they had some people there. They were doing some more affidavits, collecting some more money, and we need to keep that going. It's very, very important.
so okay, so your Facebook page is TW100R, right?
Yes,
Yes.
.org, right there it is, and that's showing 792, but we're actually up to 801, which is great.
Yeah, cool. That's good. I mean, progress is progress, right?
Progress is progress. It's really, really important. So, Marianne, I don't know if you have anything, but I wanted to just really spend 10 minutes basically going through some history for the retirees and the actives so that they understood where this all started. And what, again, just reiterating some of the issues that we're facing and why it is so critical that the retirees and the actives come together and support this.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Maybe you guys might know this.
Sure.
Exactly how many New York City Transit retirees are there? I just saw a number, and I'm not sure that's the right number. I'm like,
There's a bunch of different numbers. It
Right.
depends if you look at the MTA's website. I'm sorry, the Consolidated Financial Report. There's one number there, but they mix a lot of groups in, and that's a very large number. There's also information on a financial report they put out. It's for the retirement benefits. The last statement that was out was the 2021, and that showed over 33,000 retirees.
Right. Right. See, I
So
look at the number.
the numbers are all over the place.
Yeah,
We
like,
have a number. The number that we have is between 22 and 30.
Right. So we're close. It depends what the numbers are. So it's a big number. There's no
Right.
doubt about it.
Yeah,
It's a huge number. And the number I saw of active employees, I was looking at the 2022 MTA Consolidated Financial Reports, and it was showing that you had approximately 44,000 employees actively working. So
right, working right.
big number. It's a big number of people. Those 44,000 will be retirees one day.
Exactly.
Joining us.
And that's why I keep saying people may think that this doesn't pertain to them, but if you plan on retiring, this pertains to you.
Oh, absolutely.
It definitely
Absolutely.
pertains to
And
you.
it comes faster than you think.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Way faster than you think. It may not come, you may be planning for 20 years from now, but something may happen that you're going to have to cut that time short.
Exactly.
And be like me.
Right. You never know. My husband had it too. It happens. You get sick, it happens, and things.
Something else. I had it all set up where I had the exact time and the exact age. So I will be 55 and I will have put in 25 years and I was able to get out.
Right.
That didn't happen for me. So
Right. That was lucky. Yeah, that was really, really lucky. So
that was lucky. It just didn't happen for me. I ended up getting into an accident and I had to retire early. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So
but it happens, and people don't plan or think it's ever going to happen to them.
No, they don't. Not
And,
at all. Especially,
people don't ever think they're going to get sick, and they're not going to need that medical coverage. And people get sick. And today you can be healthy, but who knows what tomorrow is going to be.
Exactly. I mean, I have, since my accident, like everything just went downhill.
Yeah.
I was in pretty good shape before the accident. A little fat, but I was pretty healthy. Right. But after the accident, whatever could go wrong went wrong. I mean, I'm still currently facing medical issues because of the accident. So
and you're young. And you're
I'm
young.
only 50. I'm only 50 years old. So
yes. So you're a baby.
Okay.
But it's, again, I just felt that we need to keep the mission going. I do spend a lot of time answering on the TWU 100R site, people's questions. I did this for a living, so I kind of understand it. It's difficult. Understanding medical coverage is very difficult. Even when you know it, it's still difficult. Laws change, rules change, carriers change their rules every 3 minutes. So
yeah, the wording is complicated.
Yes.
You got to read the wording.
And they do it on purpose.
Yes,
it's done on purpose, so people don't understand it. So, and you need an advocate.
And when you're young and healthy, you really don't want to bother with that stuff.
No,
you're like, whatever. I don't care, whatever. I don't really need it right now.
Right.
But then when you need it,
you want it to be there. Mm-hmm. And you also, when you took the job, just like everybody else, you took that job primarily because you did think a little bit about the future. I am
Yeah.
going to have a pension and I'm going to have retiree medical, not only for me, but for my spouse and if I had dependent children. Now, along the way, you had to pay into that plan while you were actively working. You have to put up with egregious work rules. You have a draconian disciplinary system. And, for many of you, you got sick, had an accident and got injured. Other people have gotten ill. You've worked in diesel fumes. You worked in weird conditions. You worked in asbestos. Some of you were down at 9/11 without personal protective equipment. And all of these things happen. But, at the end of the day, you thought, I will live through this because at least I have a pension and at least I have retiree medical coverage.
Exactly.
And
We're gonna bring in.
what was good retiree medical coverage.
Yeah, they're trying to kill that now, but we're gonna bring in Lloyd Archer to join us since he's back in.
Okay.
Lloyd, you ready?
Ready?
Let's bring Lloyd in. Hey, Lloyd.
Hey guys, if it's dark, I'm in the car and it's dark outside.
All right.
Sorry for being late.
That's okay.
We had a meet and greet today in New York, so I had to get there. Hey, we collected $650 today.
Excellent. Yay.
Congratulations.
And it's still a lot of people that showed up that still don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to organize and get a little bit more outreach.
Yes.
They postponed the court date today. I don't know if you know that, Marianne. Yes. The Transit Authority called the postponement.
Yes.
That may be a good thing for us because they're gonna have to find some more lies to tell, I guess.
No, they're looking for more ammunition. They're just trolling our TWU.
Yeah, it is. So this is my personal opinion that we may have to just be careful with what we say now. But that's my personal opinion because whatever's in the evidence now is in the evidence and they can't
You're
refuse
fine.
it.
Right. Yeah, they just don't know what to argue back because they normally what they were doing, especially in the beginning of your case, was basically copying what was in our case. But the city's already lost our case, so it doesn't make sense to file the losing argument of what they might want to say because that's not going to go anywhere. So I guess they need some more time to kind of I don't know, turn over some more rocks and figure out what they can say. But yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I thought because when Donovan called me and told me that they postponed the case, I said, wow, people were actually there today. Some people actually went. So I got a couple of phone calls. They asked me what happened. I said, we've been putting it out there that the case has been postponed. I think we go back April 9th.
Okay.
Is the next date. We'll be sure. I'll be sure maybe Monday I'll get in touch with the attorney and ask them what date do we have come back. And they also had us virtual.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's got to change.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right.
But otherwise, I feel kind of good. We just got to get the message out more because some of the questions that were being asked today at the meet and greet, they knew nothing. New York Presbyterian is just cutting everybody off. We had a guy from that has to have hip replacement. They already sent them a letter said they can't do the surgery. So we submitted his affidavit. And there's a lot more. Yes. So if you guys are listening to us and you're having a problem with again, I know I'm keep repeating the same thing over and over again with your prescriptions. Your doctors are not going to accept this plan anymore.
Yep. Any delays or denial of care.
Have to do.
You have to let us know. You have to let us know so that we can put this in the evidence.
Right. And I think there's so much, as you said, Lloyd, so much confusion. People really don't know. And until they use the medical, they're not going to know.
Right.
And people don't really understand about, doing an affidavit or how critical it is or donating. This is so important. The more ammunition we have, the better it is. We must have ammunition to fight this.
Exactly. The more people, the stronger it is.
That's right. We need the numbers. It's really critical.
Exactly. And I just this is why I asked about the question about how many retirees are on there, because that's like a goal that you need to hit.
Yes.
How many people need to have eyes on this, even if they don't respond right away. The fact that they have eyes on it, the fact that so many people are watching, so many people are looking or sharing, that adds strength to your fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sometimes it is depressing to see that a lot of people just feel so disenfranchised. They just don't want to bother. And it's
until it affects them, and then
then they don't know what to do. And that's the sad part. We do need to get the message out. And this, you and Brooklyn Pete have been great to help us with getting some of this message out, because we do have to get it out. It's so critical. And people really just don't understand what this plan is really about. I mean, I read somebody's comment of how absolutely wonderful it is. Well, wait till the day they get sick or they move and they don't have a network, or, oh, by the way, their doctors are all part of New York Press, and in 2 weeks they're out of the network. Now, what do you do? And people don't understand what it means to be out of the network or in the network or how it affects you.
Yeah, I got a call on that today, and one of the transit retirees was needing both he and his wife are going through some pretty bad stuff, and they called Aetna, and Aetna said, "Oh, don't worry, you have ESA. You can see any doctor, even if they're not in the network, at the same price." And I said, wrong. If you could see any doctor that's out of the network, as long as that doctor agrees to accept Aetna for payment. If they refuse, you are on the hook. You have to pay that difference. You have to pay whatever that cost is, and then try to get it reimbursed by Aetna yourself.
Right.
That's not going to help you when you're going through cancer treatment. And then you're still subject to prior authorization, but this time you have to do it, not the doctor.
Exactly.
So it gets more complicated. And when you're dealing with a life and death illness and you're struggling with your own health, that's not a place to be in. ESA just means that they don't have the doctors in that area are not in the network, but it's an extended service area. ESA is what they call it. That the doctors in that area, that extended area, they can take the plan for payment, but that doesn't mean that they will. You have to ask them, will you accept this plan for payment?
And think about how many people now. There was a comment, somebody was very surprised that in their local neighborhood, there was a radiology service, and they already it's a New York Press. He didn't even realize it was a New York Press site. And they've already posted the signs up in all of their facilities that they are not accepting the plan as of April 1. Now, we are going down to New York Press. My husband goes to the heart failure program on the 18th. So I will be there asking, okay, how do I, proceed? Because he has electronic devices that have to be read every single day. And guess what? The doctor in another network, Northwell or Optum or whoever else is around, is not going to read that device. They didn't implant it. So, and then there are all these rules. And that's the important part. People need to understand this. The active employees, starting back in the 1990s, you contributed into retiree coverage. It started at 1.5%. You were out on strike in December of 2005. And I came across, if you can see this, Roger Toussaint's letter that came out. And actually it was really good. And Roger clearly says in it, in this fight, you won lifetime medical coverage. And in his letter to everybody, he wrote, there are two bitter elements within the agreement, extending the term for 1 month And the 1.5% contribution for healthcare are things we did not want, but they were necessary for us to achieve lifetime medical, the pension refund, and to secure the rest of the agreement, and to come out of the strike strong, not beaten down. So there was the message back in 2005. In 2012, unfortunately, they negotiated that it would go to 2%. And then in 2017, there was language in the MOU that clearly said they were moving to the Aetna plan, and they were planning to improve the benefit under the Aetna system. And now here we are in 2023 on this enhanced coverage that is not a diminishment in benefit. And guess what? It is not enhanced, and it is a diminishment. So if you look at the history, the bargaining history, it hasn't gotten better for you guys. It's gotten worse over the history. And I just couldn't resist. I did a little math calculation based on the 2022 wage rates for active employees. And I just said, let me figure out what 2% is for that population. And that number, you wouldn't believe how much money goes in. The average, if you did an average, so it's high rates, low rates, it's an average of every position. Average the people are paying in, this is 2022, $1,552 a year into what they are supposedly going to have retiree coverage. That's $60 million a year that goes in to the MTA to provide medical coverage. And now on top of
the thing with that is, we had an executive board member, we were talking to him. There was always a surplus at the end of the year of that same exact money. So we're trying to figure out where is the money that they had to sell out the retirees for this, for this Medicare Advantage, where we know they had a surplus. This is another issue. But I'm sorry for cutting you off, but it just burns me to start hearing those numbers. Yeah,
exactly. And now the Medicare is paying Aetna for our coverage, right? And we know at the minimum it's $300 million a year. So what's the deal, guys? What is it? What's going to happen to all you active employees who are paying in 2% a year? And that rate goes up every year because your wages go up. What coverage are you having in the future? I mean, so it's not just a retirees fight. It's an active fight. Because 5 years from now, who the heck knows what your coverage is? Check your bargaining history. And it just, there's
so wait a second. You're saying that the active transit workers right now are paying 1.5 or 2% of their income into 2%. Their health care?
Yes, 2%. They pay 2% a week, up to 40 hours a week.
Every
for
52
weeks. Right. And they've been doing that since the 90s. It started at 1.5, and in 2012.
Was that amount though for current health care, or was that for future health?
Retiree, it's for retiree coverage.
So they were paying for their coverage.
Yes.
Right. To bridge, it was for the retirees from age 55 to 65, the 1.5, and then the transit authority would pick up the 20%. When you became Medicare eligible.
Right.
That was the wraparound that we had.
It was to give you an early out. However,
so they basically robbed your health care at this point.
Exactly.
Yes, they did.
And if you read the MTA's consolidated financial report and their benefit financial report, it is very clear that the MTA does not handle paying actives or retiree benefits like many unions do, or pension welfare and annuity funds do, where they have investments and then they have contributions coming in and they pay out of that fund, and they generally have a surplus. They keep a 12-month balance in there just in case. the MTA's language is very clear. It's a pay as you go, which means they only fund as they need it. And so it's pay as you go. So now, where is your $60 million a year going to? And is it all, where, and where is the other money that they used to pay out now that Medicare is covering the expense for all of us retirees? And now on top of it, right. And what's worse is crappy coverage.
Go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And on top of it, now we've gotten crappier coverage. And if we really are ill and we really can't live within this Medicare disadvantage plan, we then we have to waive out. And Lloyd, as you know, and you talk to them, what does waiving out mean? It means you, your spouse, and if you have a dependent child, lose your hospital coverage, your medical coverage, and your prescription drug coverage. And oh, by the way, now you are in the situation where you're still paying Medicare B. You will have to buy a supplemental plan on the market, which is going to cost you a few $1,000s if you can get it. Because, as we've all said, there's only 4 states that won't stop you. They don't. That
you have a guarantee issue, right, in order to be issued a plan, regardless of pre-existing condition or age, or time of enrollment.
Right. And just
basically, it's a diminishment of your healthcare benefit, which is like what we've been saying, is that these young people don't realize what has been taken away from them because they haven't used it. That was kind of evident when there was that one of those Shopgate videos where the young lady who was a cancer survivor who was on your executive board, the union's executive board. I think her name was Tanya.
Right. Yes.
She talks about how she loved Aetna and was going through great care, but her plan as an active employee is materially different from a Medicare eligible's plan. They operate differently.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, and I just came.
That's exactly how she got good care, because she had the active members medical plan. She's not retired. She's not 55. And see, the members don't understand that. If they don't know, they won't question it.
Exactly.
So,
well, and we had last week, look at all these doctors and hospitals and systems going out of network. Indiana just had it. We just had one of the guys who popped up last week. He was Army medic who lives in Pennsylvania. That's how I remember him. He was able to go to his local hospital and get care there. Now he has to go 65 miles to get care because that's where the Aetna network is. And don't forget, there are 10 states that don't have Aetna networks or any of their ancillary networks. What do? You are out of network. And those rules are pretty onerous. I went back today to read the Aetna language, which always drives me crazy. And as we know, on the evidence of coverage, on page 8, very important page, you must use network providers to get your medical care and services. If you go elsewhere without proper authorization, you will have to pay in full. More money out of your pocket. The only exceptions are emergencies, urgently needed services when the network is not available. Now, what does that mean? Okay? Out of area dialysis services. And in cases in which Aetna Medicare Plan PPO authorizes use of out-of-network providers. Really? So, and again, what does that mean? You go to page 25 in your document and you start reading through how to get care from an out-of-network providers. And there are a whole bunch of paragraphs, but the most important one is you don't need to get a referral or prior authorization when you get care from out-of-network providers. However, before getting services from out-of-network providers, you may want to ask for a pre-visit coverage decision to confirm that the services you are getting are covered and are medically necessary. Without a pre-visit coverage decision, If we later determine that the services are not covered or were not medically necessary, we may deny coverage and you will be responsible for the entire cost. Basically, what they're telling you is, screw you, you're paying the cost, and that's it, because it's at a network or whatever. So this is where we are. And I just want to keep reminding people, because I know I've seen some, sort of apathy on people, like, oh, okay, the court case is delayed, or oh, whatever. We can't. We have to be together. We have to continue fighting. We must get affidavits. I just heard from somebody who just was diagnosed 6 weeks ago with neck cancer. They finally received their authorization for chemo and radiation today. Now, they have Aetna, but they're not in our plan. They're in somebody else's plan. And the oncologist told them on Friday of last week that the delay resulted in the tumor becoming 10% larger. 6 weeks.
Like the guy from Aetna said, people die.
People die. Right.
That's what the guy from Aetna said. People die.
Right.
One person died, or whatever he said about somebody dying. It's a damn shame.
He said one person died. Like,
right. Big deal, right?
Yeah, big deal.
Unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, when you're in a situation where your health is something like cancer, the last thing you're thinking about is pre-authorization consultations or anything like that. I mean, at that point, it's like, I don't care if you're in or out of network. If I'm here and we're here, we're going to get it done.
Right.
We can fight about the payment afterwards when you're in that situation. But who needs that? That is only going to exasperate his illness.
Right. Oh, absolutely. It adds more stress to your plate.
It adds more stress, and it's going to just build the cancer even stronger.
Right.
And there's no scientific way of proving that, but we know that that's what happens.
Well, in some cases, it is. When that one case that the Aetna attorney, Mr. Gierkin, happened to mention in oral arguments in our case last summer, he actually said that we were able to show that Arana Cunningham was a young lady, a mom and a wife, and she developed a tumor that they had wanted to provide a proton beam treatment for, and Aetna denied it through prior authorization. When by the time that the family was finally able to get it for her, that the tumor had grown so large, she had even after them selling off all of their assets and selling their house in order to pay for this, because Aetna wasn't, Ms. Cunningham died. And the family, after her death, sued Aetna, and the court and a jury awarded the family a $25.5 million settlement, and the court told Aetna, change your ways. Well, the attorney in our case in the summer said, well, Your Honor, that was just one person that died due to prior authorization, and prior authorization is important because it helps with overutilization of medical procedures and saves the company money. It was just one person that died. That's all that they mentioned. And so we were like it's only one person. Like, he deminimized the value of a human life. And the judge was sitting on the bench like this, and he was like, his face cringed, and he said, well, sir, if one person died to this court, that's one person too many. That we were like, oh my God, thank God. Because he got what we all felt. Like, what do you mean it was just one person? What if that one person was your mom, your sister, your wife? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, but that's the way they think. It's, for each one that dies off, it's less money it's more money in their pockets and less money they spend. The federal government already paid, well,
and look, and transit looks to save both ways. Whether you get forced into that Medicare Advantage plan, they're not paying for your CPPO, or you waive your health benefits, then they're not paying for anything. For them, it's a win-win. They win either way.
And we all lose.
You all lose.
We all
you
lose.
lose both ways. Yes.
Right. Both ways you lose. And I know there's been a lot about, oh my gosh, I got $500 towards my, Medicare premium.
Oh yeah,
I'm
it's a big thing.
$297. Well, guess what? Your prescription drug copayment probably increased by more than $200. Or when you go to that out-of-network doctor, because they're becoming more and more frequent, that $200 is going to be gone in 30 seconds.
Which was shocking too to hear, because in one of those shop gates, Richie Davis says, oh, well, don't worry, so-and-so, you're going to go to Tennessee and you're going to go to Puerto Rico. No, that's wrong, because it doesn't matter where you are. We're seeing this even in the 5 boroughs.
Exactly.
Doctors and hospitals are not accepting this plan. And actually, we have some more news. Actually, I got this just recently. We can show that there is a decrease in providers in the Aetna network from like between 21 and 22 or 22 and 23. I forget the years. So I can actually absolutely prove that there is a reduced access to providers in the Aetna network in the last couple of years.
Excellent. And we know that. We know
absolutely.
Right. They don't count belly buttons. No. They count, the doctor has 3 specialties. That's 3 doctors in network.
Right. Times 2 offices. Now there's 6.
Right.
Well, might I mention, one of the gentlemen that was at the meet and greet, I was telling you he needed the hip replacement. So he did go on the Hospital for Special Surgery's website, and they said that they don't take it. So me and Anita went on the site, and it says it accepts it. And then we went further for the surgery, and this is what it said. Only participating doctors in Florida will accept Medicare Advantage for hip replacements, knee replacements. So what happens to everybody here in New York? And I couldn't believe it until she showed it to me.
Yeah, so Hospital for Special Surgery has 2 locations, the New York City and the Florida. Florida will take it. New York, to my knowledge, still will not. And even with the New York City retirees, Hospital for Special Surgery said, like for us, for New York City retirees, not transit, I don't know about you guys yet. We need to follow up on that. Right. For New York City, they told us the hospital will accept it. However, you must contact each individual physician and see if they will accept it. That is ridiculous.
Right. It's crazy. I mean, and when you're sick, who has time for this? Think about it. I mean, who has time? And we haven't even touched again about people are in independent living or in assisted living. They're not accepting this. You have to have traditional Medicare.
But see, young people don't understand about that yet. They don't realize that when you get older, you might not be able to take care of yourself or your home. You might need to move in a continuing care residential community or a 55 and over community, someplace where you can transition into your levels of care. They're not understanding that. To them, their focus is, spouse, kids, basketball, soccer, ballet. And they're just living in the now. They don't know. I mean, how many times, Ann, come on, we're a little bit older. How many times have you said to yourself, damn, I wish someone when I turned 40 would have given me a book about this? Because as your life starts to change at 40 years old, the things, even with taking care of your parents, things you did not expect, right?
Exactly.
So I did not expect to have to take care of a parent who was in her 60s. My mom was in her 60s and developed dementia. No one prepared me for that. That wasn't even something that was in my family. And then to deal with that on top of my life. And meanwhile, I'm young and having to do that. Would never have thought that would have been a thing. That to me, when you become an adult, to learn the things that your responsibilities that you'd be responsible for, or situations that you may have to deal with, that I wasn't prepared for.
No, you're right. Nobody was prepared for it. And you didn't really think about it. I always knew. I worked in the private sector. I knew I was going to have a pension from my employer, but they don't have retiree medical. And I would tell my husband in every contract, and we'd look at it, and I'm like, if whatever it is, let's put the money in because I need to be covered under you. I will be covered under you. I don't have retiree medical. And, you know, so it was like, okay, great. And then you wake up one day and you're like, this is not what we were promised. This is not what we relied on when we made decisions when we retired.
Yeah. And I think there's also a difference where people think healthcare is healthcare because they've had this same plan that they've had their entire career, especially those that are still working, that the plan works for them in just about every situation. And they're not going far from home, right? So it's not really an issue. But when you're older, you might leave the area or your needs become greater, your health itself declines. The needs of your health plan become greater. While they can say, well, the plan works for me now. Well, the plan that you will be getting when you're 65 or Medicare eligible will be different than the one that you have. And it will act differently because it's now called managed care. So you don't have that luxury of just taking your medical card and going where you want anymore because they took that freedom away from you. And they're not explaining that. And you're absolutely correct on the money. People are getting blinded by, oh, now I get $500 or, oh, now I get $1,000 or $2,000 a person. But they don't realize that that's the carrot and the stick principle. They're dangling the cash in front of them, but they're not realizing behind the curtain, you've lost direct access to your doctors and hospitals. You now have prior authorizations. You now have a narrowed network. All of these things that you never had before, that is a diminishment of benefit and access. So.
And it will only get worse. It really will only get worse. And I want people to get angry. You should be angry. This is not what you were promised. And actives, you know, this will only get worse. You need to think about it. You are paying for something that it's not going to be there when you retire. That's the sad part. Think about this. And you don't want to be sick. You really don't want to be sick. You know, and I think about, I told you, you know, my husband had his first heart attack at age 56. Never thought about it. He wanted to work till he was 65. He just loved it, all the insanity. But, you know, he had it and he had the 26. He was 26 and 56. So he got out. But we were in Myrtle Beach and I keep thinking, you know, we moved back 2 years ago and he was very ill down there. And he had what's called constrictive pericarditis, where the sac around his heart hardened and his heart wasn't pumping. And he had to have open heart surgery down there. And, you know, we thank God for the coverage. We had Medicare. We were able to find the doctors and do what needed to be done. And, you know, and then he recovered for 8 weeks and then he got sick again and we had to move back to New York. I think, though, if this coverage had been there, if we had that Medicare disadvantage plan when we were living down there, we weren't covered. We were living in a county that is not covered by Aetna. We were living in Myrtle Beach, Horry County. It is not an Aetna covered network area. We would have, the closest we could have went to was Charleston, which was 2 hours away. And oh, by the way, we did go to Charleston to MUSC, which is their big medical university. And they told us they couldn't treat him. So where do you go? Thank God we're back. Now, unfortunately, we're in the New York press system and we're out of network in 2 more weeks. But let's hope that gets resolved somewhere down the line. Do you know, Marianne, if Mount Sinai settled with United Healthcare?
No, not yet.
Not yet. So, right.
So my question would be, right, for all the people that in the New York Presbyterian Network, what happens to them on the 1st of April? I'm just curious, what's going to happen? I mean, this would set an alarm off, and it did, because a lot of the guys that were there tonight had the same letter that I got. As of April 1, it won't be in the network anymore. But what's going to happen? Is Aetna going to pick doctors for them or what? That's the question.
They give you a list. So you can go in network. So think about your list. they'll give you they'll give you a list. You'll pick an in-network doctor. So if you're in the New York Press system right now, Northwell is taking the coverage. Mount Sinai. If you're in the big systems, it's Mount Sinai, Northwell, Optum, which is a United Healthcare company, and more of their doctors are opting out. Those are the systems. So you'll have to make an appointment with another doctor if you want in-network care. Now, I don't know about you, but I know when we moved back here to get a doctor's appointment, especially for
It's almost a year.
Almost a year. A primary care, it took us 9 months to get an appointment.
So I said almost a year.
Right. So you're going to wait. Meanwhile, you're ill. What do you do? So people are going to be facing very difficult decisions where they're either going to be in a situation where they're going to look for an in-network doctor, hope they get an appointment, hope that doctor will take them, hope that doctor's office isn't going to be in contract dispute down the road with Aetna. Okay. Or you're going to pay out of network because you need that doctor. And now, like Marianne, as you said, you hope you don't have to drain your bank account. You hope you don't have to, sell your house to pay for the expenses. You hope you don't get sick. That's what you really hope for. You hope you can live with paying for a doctor's appointment. But, what happens when you're hospitalized and they're like, oh, we'll pay the emergency. Well, you know, when you're in the hospital, there's a million tests. There's a million different doctors that come in. They're not paying for that. They're going to pay the ER doctor. That's it. So we're in a really bad situation. And we are 9 weeks into this plan. 9 weeks.
So, and what's the best that they can do what can everybody do? The active workers and the retirees should be contacting TWU100R, should be signing up for their email, should be making a donation, keep making donations so that they can keep this litigation going and paying the attorneys, because that's your only fighting chance at this point.
Exactly.
Is there a way you guys?
Go ahead.
Is there a way you guys can get together a mailing list? Because a lot of the retirees are not on social media.
I know.
So they're not going to see this
problem
for nothing.
Well, we know the Retiree Association is not giving it to us. That's for sure.
Well, we're working on that. So this is another thing that we have that's going on. And Marianne, me and Donovan have to talk to you about it. Next week, Monday, we will be doing a phone blast.
Okay.
And an email, a text blast too, along with the phone blast. Okay. So all of the numbers that we do have, they should get a message from us, either in a text or in a voicemail, right? Whether it be home or on the cell. So what we do ask when you can you email us if you guys are listening? Email us at www.100r@gmail.com. Your email address, your telephone number.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm back.
Go ahead.
You want an email? You want an email or you want your website? What do you want up?
No, we want them to email their telephone
their name
number,
and phone numbers.
the names and phone numbers, so we'll have them on file.
Is it TW100R?
At
gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Yeah.
Get rid of the www.
Well,
when you send an email,
www.
you have to get rid of the www.
Get rid of the www.
Okay.
It's just TWU100R@gmail.com.
Right.
And then just make sure you send your name and your phone number, cell phone number. You'll have their email because they're emailing you. TW1 no, that's not right either. TWU100R.
Oh yeah.
No local.
I changed the wrong one. Sorry. TW100R
@gmail.com.
Make sure that's right.
Let's see. There you go.
It. Yes, that's it.
Email us your information so that we can send you a phone blast to let you know. We can email you guys and give you updates. This is very important. Please just, if you can do it tonight, do it tonight. And like I said, sometime this week or next week, we will be sending out a phone blast with updates on the court case and everything.
Right. And anybody who has addresses or information of fellow retirees that aren't on social media, send it out to TWU. Send their information out. It is really important. We got to get the message out. We're up to 801 on Facebook, and we probably have another, I don't know, 100 maybe that participate, even though they're not on Facebook, donate. Let's get that number way up. We need to go to 1,000 this month. Come on. It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is what, 30,000 at least minimum, right? So
that's right.
You got some work to do.
And we need affidavits. And if you need help, I know it's a challenge. A lot of people said, I don't have a printer. I don't have, I don't know what to write. Somebody just call the group, email the group, TWU. They'll help you. They'll walk you through it. It's not that difficult. We need to know when that prescription even costs you $5 more. That's a diminishment in coverage.
Right. Okay, guys. I mean,
thank you.
Very informative again, as usual. Congratulations on your meet and greet. Hopefully, you get a lot more the next time you guys have one. Again, the door is always open for you guys to come and talk to us and share with our platform what you guys need to share with everybody else. I hope again that this reaches everybody it needs to reach. We're gonna do our part in trying to spread it as much as we can, but a lot of the retirees some of them still walking around with flip phones. So it's like
very true.
If you ain't got flyers, handing out flyers, it's gonna be hard to reach some of them. But we'll do our best in trying to get that done.
Appreciate it.
Are we going to talk about Kathy Hochul next week?
Yeah, we're going to have to wait. She's going to have to wait. Sorry, Kathy. I'll get into you next week.
I know. We took up your whole hour.
All right. We're sorry. I was
planning
like 15 minutes, but once we get started, that's it.
That's usually how it goes, right? So you guys hang out while I'm in this show, right? Don't go nowhere.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank God for joining me again.
Thank you.
Right. Guys, thanks for joining me. It's your boy Blunt again. Another informative show for Two Transit Misfits. Thank you to Marianne. Thank you for Ann. Thank you for Lloyd again. And listen, if you know anybody, if you're part of transit and you know anybody that's retiring, make sure you get this out to them. Give them the local 100, the TW100R Facebook page. This is it right here. Tell them to go sign up to that on Facebook. The website, that's not it. What am I doing? There we go. The Gmail, TW100R, gmail.com. Tell them to write to them, take the information down, contact them, get your feet in the game, get your boots to the ground, get your feet in the game. It's very important because even if you think it doesn't affect you now, it will affect you in the future. So don't be in a position where doctors are going to decide your fate. Take your fate into your own hands. And with that said, I'm your boy Blunt for Brooklyn Pete and myself. Peace and fuck them if they can't take a joke. Later.